Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to show you how to add grass to this model. So firstly, let's just turn off the layers that are slowing it down. We'll go and make a new layer called grass. So like that. So we'll be turning this patch of land here into grass, but as VRFur puts quite a lot of stress on the computer, we're going to go ahead and add it to a simple square first. So what you want to do is just make a square about this size. We'll plan our stuff. So we just have a simple surface here. We'll lock out other layers for now. So what you want to do is go to V-Ray here, go to Objects, and then Add Fur to Selection. And open our asset editor, we go to the square here where it says Geometry, and you'll see this is our fur layer that we just added. So we click on the right tab here to open up the properties, and we'll just go ahead and rename it to Grass. Now to see if this has been added, we just want to go into interactive view to see. Now as this is 1:1 scale, the grass may be a bit short, so while we have this view open, we go back into our properties. We'll just change the length to about 600. Alright, so now that's showing up in our view, you can only just see it. Sometimes the grass may be upside down underneath the object, so if that happens to you, you can just type flip into here, but in this case it has gone the right way, so we can go ahead and stop that. Firstly, we'll add our textures to the grass. So what we want to do is turn the actual surface itself into a soil texture. So change this to soil and add our texture mapping, same way as the last tutorial. So about 500. And then the grass itself, where it says material here, you want to make sure this is highlighted to the right, and then change the material to grass A. And now when we go into our interactive view, this surface should be soil, and then the grass will be on top of the soil. So we can see here that that's now been applied. So underneath is the soil, and then on top is the grass. So go ahead and stop that. So now we want to change our grass parameters. So we go back into the geometry tab. Alright, so I do have some parameters that I normally use. So assuming your model is a 1:1 scale, we'll go ahead and put these parameters in first, and then see how it looks. So where it says count area, we'll go 0.006. The length, we'll change it to 210. Thickness will be 3. Taper can stay the same. Gravity about -1.9. And the banding can stay at 0.5. You don't need to worry about variance or curl or any of these here. And then where it says texture slot just here, you want to click this and set it to noise B. So to explain what this does, it changes the variance of the grass. In this case it's the length, so this texture here will be, you won't actually see it, but it's mapped onto the surface of the grass. And then depending on the color of this texture, the grass will either be longer or shorter. So in this case I think the white here, the grass will be longer, and in the black here the grass will be shorter. You'll see what I mean when we go into our first interactive view, but for now let's just set the parameters for it. So this will be 0.23. You don't want it to be insanely high and low. Low, make it 0.25, and high, keep it as 1. You can adjust the size yourself depending on your model and what you're adding it to. So if it's a real small surface, just like a 2x3 meter or something, you can set this quite high to about there. So that you have this little level of detail in the difference of length. But if it's quite a large surface area, you want to set it quite low, so it'll be a lot more varied. So in this case, let's just set it to about here. And we go back. We do the same thing with thickness. you don't really need exact parameters. You can just do what you kind of think looks good. So I'll go ahead and show you what I mean by this. So that's all the parameters set for the grass. So let's go into our interactive view now. This will just take a second. So there you go. As you can see, there's a bit too much detail added. But this is why we're doing it on a smaller surface first, that we can adjust all the parameters without having to make the computer load the entire thing. So let's go back to our length. Yeah, we can just make it a bit bigger. So that looks a bit more natural. Just for the sake of this example, I'll show you what happens. I'll show you what this tool actually does. So as you can see in this map here, there's a dark patch where there will be no grass, and that's what you're seeing here, where there's no grass. So that's essentially what this parameter does when you add it to the length. And the same thing happens for the thickness. You can also add it for the gravity and bend, but you don't really notice it. So we'll just go ahead and make this slightly bigger and just make a little bit less of a variation. So the more of a difference between the white and the black there is, the more you'll be able to see the difference more. For example there, so let's set it back about here. Just want to make it look as natural as possible. So these parameters look pretty good for grass. I think go back to our reference image. Yeah, the grass is quite short, and actually it's not very patchy at all. So we can go and just make it a lot more faint. In this case, I think we can make the grass just a little bit longer. So we'll try 320. Yeah, that's pretty good. So we'll go ahead and stop that. And now we can apply this to the main area. Now that we've set these parameters, you can save them so that in future models you can just simply apply it to it, which saves you a lot of time. We'll save a copy of this in the file for you to directly put on, or you can make it yourself if you want to play around with the settings. So after you save that, you can go ahead and delete this object here. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and apply this to the landmass. What we're going to do first to save a bit of space on the computer, because if you have a really high spec computer, it shouldn't be a problem to go ahead and add it to this whole land here. But if your computer struggles sometimes, it's always good to find the camera angle you're going to use, and then just cut out the parts that you only see in the render. So let's just do that. Just we're going to draw approximately where you'll see it in the render. So move out here. And then we'll just split the land using this shape, like so. And so now we have this bit of land just here, and now we'll apply it to this large landmass. So you click here which says import asset file, and we have a grass layer just here. We'll open that. We'll just adjust some of the parameters. As this is quite a large bit of land, we will need to add a bit more variance on the length part. So we'll just make this a bit smaller, up there, and make it a bit more patchy, so the larger surface area you have, the more difference in length you want to have. So we'll try that. And to make it run a bit faster, we'll just lower the count to about 0.03, sorry. And then we'll make sure that our land's highlighted, the part we want to add it to. And go right click, apply to selection. Close that. Make sure the land is set to the soil texture, and that it's also box mapped as well. So let's see what this looks like. Keep in mind, rendering grass for the first time always is very slow. Actually, before we do that, we'll just set the height, the length a little bit longer, maybe about 400. Alright, so once that's rendered, we can have a look at it. It looks pretty good, but we changed the size of the texture here down a bit, I think. I think there can still be some more variance in the height of it. Alright, now that's looking pretty good. We'll go ahead and turn on the trees and the grass layer. Sorry, the trees and the leaves layer. So there you go, there's our trees, grass, and leaves all placed on it. And the next few videos will be adjusting the render settings to make the lighting a bit more realistic and everything. But that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.